Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
This is my top 5 Scream movies. The 5th film in the franchise was recently released on video on demand, Scream 2022, aka Scream 5. So I will be ranking the 5 Scream movies in order of my personal preference. So let's get into it, shall we? Starting off with number 5, my least favorite Scream movie is Scream 2. Now, this one, along with the majority of the Scream movies, written by Wes Craven, or directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, all starring the same kind of cast of characters for the most part. Obviously, some get picked off as the series goes along. But this one, the second installment in the franchise, came out 2 years after the first one, takes place in college. So it is these characters, Neve Campbell's character, Sidney Prescott, and all of her friends are now in college, so introducing a lot of new characters. The movie ends with a big dramatic fight scenes on a stage, kind of referencing, so much of the franchise is meta contextual stuff, and a lot of the first one is horror films. And in this one, it feels like they're paying homage to like horror theater, staged theater. And I don't know. It was definitely my least favorite. The end kind of reveal is kind of weak, which is a big thing, finding out who the killers are, because every one of them seemingly has 2 killers. I believe every single one of them does. Maybe not. But yeah, clearly my least favorite one. Timothy Olyphant, I thought, was horrible casting for this. I think he's great in a lot of things, but it didn't make any sense. And he's doing like a Matthew Lillard impersonation towards the end of the movie, which is kind of wacky. Some good stuff. You have, obviously, you have Randy's character dying, which, is sad. Because he was kind of the information guy. He knew the rules to all the horror movies. But a great scene in the kind of the courtyards, that courtyard scene where they're trying to uncover who the killer is. New technology using cell phones. I love the Scream franchise. Don't get me wrong, but there had to be a movie that was my least favorite. And Scream 2 is my least favorite. A lot of aspects of it I just wasn't there for. And maybe because it was a fast turnaround. Maybe they were trying to do too much to ride on the popularity of the first one. But either way, coming in at number 5 is Scream 2. Obviously, that one came out in 1997. Scream 2. Moving on to my 4th favorite, or my second least favorite Scream movie. My number 4 favorite Scream movie is Scream 3. Now, I know a lot of people would probably swap my 4 and 5, would probably put Scream 3 as their least favorite. And I can totally understand why, because this one does get wacky. You have Parker Posey being the actress who's representing Gale Weathers in this movie. You have references to Friends. That's why I love this movie. This movie takes the cheesiness that was kind of here and there and really kind of ramps it up. Parker Posey is amazing. Like the campiness that she brings. You want to talk about a horror film paying homage to camp? That is Parker Posey's character to a T. The fact that Scream 3 calls out Weinstein, the producer who sexually assaulted women and blackmailed them to kind of help their career or hurt their career, is literally referenced in this movie that he produced, is crazy. It's crazy. So much of this movie is so much fun. Is it stupid? Sure. But that's fine. It's a horror movie. It's like a campy version of a Scream movie. It ends with a great scene where Sydney is trapped inside the studio recreation of Woodsboro inside of her house. Awesome. Because it's just so much fun, and because of that, it's over number 2. Now, because it's also double-edged sword, the cheesiness is also why it's at a number 3. You know, I mean, they a lot of references to a lot of things that were like. And also cameos, some weird cameos, like Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith were cameos in this. Like, it does some crazy things. But I appreciate all of it. I really do. I really loved it. Just so much fun, especially compared to 2. It was just a lot more fun to 2. And just interesting characters like Parker Posey, is one of those characters, is like a Matthew Lillard type of like craziness that is, I would say, good for this movie that needs to have interesting characters. Or at least it benefits from having interesting characters. So anyway, coming in at number 4 is Scream 3. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day. But go to InspiredDisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to InspiredDisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out. Browse the entire collection. And when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10% as a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. Moving on to my third favorite, this being right smack in the middle of the list. My third favorite Scream movie is Scream 2022, a.k.a. Scream 5. The newest Scream movie that just recently hit video on demand is easily number 3. And crazy that only number 3. Like, if there's 5 more movies, it still might be at number 3. This is another movie that could have swapped with my number 2 movie because they're doing similar things. I mean, this movie, in a lot of ways, I would compare it to the first Scream as well as the fourth Scream, which are obviously the only 2 Screams left to take the number 1 and 2 spots. Does all of those things. I just think that the characters, these new cast of characters that we're supposed to care about, are a little weak, are a little bit bland. The main character that opens this film, her name is Tara Carpenter. Great. I think she's great. I think she's one of the few. Her character, as well as the twins, who are the Meeks Martin twins, Mindy and Chad, who are the niece and nephew of Randy. Those 3 characters, I love those characters. Obviously, the core cast of characters, you got Dewey, you got Gale Weathers, you got Sidney Prescott. But as far as like the kind of individualized, kind of different types of characters that the first movie had, this movie doesn't have. They're very bland. Even the ones that are interesting are mildly more interesting than the other characters. But still, I love this movie. It was so much fun. It takes all of the hassle and all of the complexity of the second and third films of over-referencing everything in pop culture and everything in horror films and tying it all into the Stab franchise, which is the fictional movie franchise that exists in the Scream movies that is based on the events of the Scream movies. Basically, this universe's version of the Scream movies. And I love that. I love that they're able to do that. I love that despite the fact that it's no longer Wes Craven directing, it's no longer the same writer who is the writer of the previous films, Kevin Williamson. It is done with a lot of love. These two guys that directed this film love the franchise, and it shows, and I'm excited to see where the franchise goes. It could easily be a 6. I made some interesting predictions. I would say interesting predictions for Scream 6 in my review of Scream that I did on Monday this past week. So go check that out if you want to. Actually, I've reviewed every single one of these films. So if you want to hear my in-depth opinions of every single Scream movie, head on over to my YouTube page, youtube.com/inspireddisorder. And or search Scream/Ray Taylor Show on YouTube, and they all should show up. But yeah, like, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was really surprising. It was a bummer that we lost one of the core 3, that's the core survivors. But you know, it makes sense. But I'm still excited to see, even though the characters aren't as fun, but still better casting around. Like, it's not all whitewashed. It could have been like a few things, and this could have been a number 2 with just a few small tweaks. This could have been my number 2, but it's my number 3. So that's Scream from 2022 is my number 3 favorite Scream film. Moving on to my second favorite Scream movie. And this one could have easily been a number 1. But many times while watching Scream 2020, I knew it was in contention with this movie because they are very similar. And that movie coming in at number 2 is Scream 4. A movie that I kind of forgot about. I don't know if I had ever seen it, but I obviously watched it, I reviewed it, and was blown away because it did a lot of cool things with the franchise. It had some gory moments for once. It played with technology. It had, like, you know, fan clubs, like online fan clubs and like actual movie geeks, and having and really taking the Stab franchise, this, you know, fictional movie franchise within the Scream movies, taking that and using that to be referential to the whole thing. Also great casting with Scream 4 too. I've heard rumored that, or at least people wishing that they would kind of merge some of the cast from Scream 4 with the new cast from Scream, the new Scream franchise, or the new, you know, cast of characters, because they weren't anywhere to be found really in Scream 5. So, but the opening of Scream 4, how they're going through all of the different Stab openings as like a misdirect to the opening of this film was amazing. Just so good. Just where it took everything, the addition of technology, you know, commenting on horror tropes, still doing all the same stuff, doing it so well. Super interesting characters again. More believable movie nerds than in the second film. All the college kids that were in the movie class. Yeah. So easily coming in at number 2 is Scream 4. Crazy how the most recent sequels are my top 3. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, You're into art? Ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. And my number one favorite Scream movie, there are no other Scream movies left, so it is, without further ado, Scream from 1995? 96. 1996. The Scream franchise was born. My favorite Scream movie. And it's my favorite because it started everything off. And whereas the second and third film tried to do too much, you know, they just over-bloated with the references on references. It became a little bit too much like Synecdoche, New York. A little bit too much meta. Obviously, Scream 4 and Scream 5 do similar things to each other and are great. But none are as great as the first one. The amazing characters with Matthew Lillard's performance. A lot of people give him shit. I think it's perfect. I think we need more Matthew Lillards. I think we need more Parker Posies in this franchise. We just need like characters to have an individuality instead of just being kind of bland versions of each other. Obviously, David Arquette, Neve Campbell is a perfect Sidney. Courtney Cox playing a great asshole reporter. Skeet Ulrich Billy Loomis. You know, the scene with him and Lillard at the end of the movie, great. His like movie references with their relationship, so fun. You have Henry Winkler as the scary principal. Like, so many aspects of it are so great. And, of course, it's like the height of Wes Anderson doing this meta thing that he started with, I think, his Wes Craven's New Nightmare was kind of his first foray into meta, bringing meta context to a film franchise with the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. But I think he did it the best. And I remember when this came out, I was in high school. I watched this movie so much. It's so much fun. It's so good. Also, you have just so many actors that were a lot of fun. God, where is his name? The guy that plays Randy. I'm blanking on his name. Jamie Kennedy playing the ultimate movie nerd. Great. So good. And the scene that Jamie Kennedy, where they're watching Halloween and he's telling Jamie Lee Curtis to turn around, Jamie. His real name is Jamie. You know? And then in Scream 2022, his niece is doing the same scene, but to the stab version. Great. Yeah, you can't have the Scream franchise without Scream. I think it does the best. Scream 4 and the newest Scream are so close. If the newest Scream had slightly more interesting characters as these friends, if there was a Matthew Lillard type in there, if there was a Skeet Ulrich type in there, it could have been number one because that was a lot of fun. Scream 4, same thing. Scream 4 had more interesting characters for sure. And I think it was kind of the first step into a little bit more of a gory aspect of the movie. But yeah, Scream is the penultimate Scream movie. It is the classic. And it's so good. Holds up. The whole misdirect, the bait and switch with Drew Barrymore was like, that was like the beginning of a trend in Hollywood. I mean, the Scream movies like launched parody films, like relaunched the existence of parody films where the Scary Movie franchise like would not even existed. without Scream. So such a great movie. Had to be my number one. One more time. My top 5 Scream movies are: number 5, Scream 2. My number 4 favorite Scream movie is Scream 3. My number 3 favorite Scream movie is Scream from 2022, a.k.a. Scream 5. My second favorite Scream film is Scream 4. And my favorite Scream film, the best one ever, is the first Scream. Let me know what your favorite Scream movie is, how you would rank them in the comments below. Hit me up on social media. But yeah, that is the franchise. I am looking forward to more Scream movies. I am super stoked at the quality and fun that was had watching the newest Scream movie. So yeah, be fun to watch the further into the franchise and see how it holds up against this list in the future. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.